Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with The Brave, Season 1, Episode 6, review. Alright, so this week I was pleasantly surprised. This episode is, to me, by far the best episode so far of the season. I really love this episode. I thought it was just well done. The acting in it was great. The whole storyline of this guy trying to defect and everything. I thought it had some really realistic values as well. It had some great romance, which we haven't seen much in the show. Some great comedy, just everything packed into this episode. And I felt like this was by far the best episode of the season so far. I really loved it, honestly. I thought it was great. Maybe you might not agree with me, I don't know. But yeah, honestly, I'm so impressed with this episode. And to be honest, with the show, I was kind of, I do still like it better than the SEAL Team. I do kind of still do that comparison, of course. And I find myself doing that like every week still. But I do still like it better than the SEAL Team. But I am, I was kind of starting to lose interest a little bit with episode 4 and 5 being like a little similar again. But this episode has gotten me excited about this show again, and I really enjoy it. Just so many parts of this episode were great. Honestly, not many negatives for this one. So, anyways, just go over a quick recap here. This one shouldn't be too long. And then rating, favorite characters, some overall thoughts there at the end. That's typical stuff. So, anyways, this one episode starts off with a team at a bar in Seville, Spain. Or Seville, so, different location again, a little bit, out of the ordinary, right? We had, of course, you're going to have those, like Turkey, I think they were in Syria for one of them, Russia, those typical ones, okay, but I really liked the Spain one this week. I felt like it was kind of unique, and really cool location as well to shoot on. They have a lot of, great infrastructure there and everything too, and they did show us some views of that as well. Just a really cool there to, for this location, for it to take place in Spain. So we see they're at this bar. Maguire, Amir, and Preach are all having drinks at the bar there when a pretty girl, and I don't know her name exactly, so I'm just going to call her the daughter or the girl, I guess. But yeah, I didn't get her name. She basically, starts flirting with Maguire a little bit, or I guess Maguire kind of started with her. I can't completely remember, but basically, they kind of hit it off. They go home together, and they sleep together, of course, and then the next morning, she finds out that he is a special op because of his tattoo. So she recognizes that right away, and so she basically, and he says at the beginning, he says, I'm a problem solver, or whatever, right? Pretty big euphemism, of course, for what he actually does, but somewhat true. So she tells him that her dad, named Ivan, is a Russian spy, and he, would want help defecting to the U.S. So, she thinks that since he's, special op, an American, that he could maybe help her dad out, and help her out, I guess, as well, right? Her family. So, yeah, for sure, they kind of stumble upon this one this week, and that's what another thing I loved about the episode, which I'll talk about a little bit later when I get to my rating. I thought that was just so great the way this mission kind of came about this week. So definitely kind of a stranger bump in, right? Who knew that this girl was gonna have a dad, and that she was gonna have a mission for them, kind of. Turns out to be. So, and there was a lot of jokes surrounding this as well with Maguire, and this girl and keeping his pants on or whatever. They mentioned it a couple times, so it was pretty funny. Also the romance. The scene where they get back and, she's kind of on the counter there and they're, kissing and everything. That's like the first scene that we've ever seen so far in 6 episodes of, kissing. So, we're getting somewhere, right? We're getting that romance a little bit, and I loved it, honestly. And to have it happen in Spain, right? It's just, the atmosphere is perfect for that, and it really builds. So I thought that was really effective, the way they did that. And, having Maguire, kind of be that guy instead of, maybe Dalton, as he's the main character. I felt like that was effective too, to have, have a guy like Maguire be a little bit more likable now going forward. So, because we already all like Dalton. So, yeah, I thought that was good. So basically then, mainly Dalton, but the team in general is, skeptical of the daughter's information. They're not sure if, it's a trap or what, maybe she's lying. who knows, right? So they take Ivan, and he actually, they take him in, and, they put a bag over his head, which is a little too much in my opinion. But anyways, they take him in, and he speaks to Patricia on the laptop there, and he's basically just trying to prove that he is indeed a spy, and that he deserves to be kind of defected to the States, right? He wants to get away from the Russians and all that. So, she says, okay, well, if you are, then prove it. Tell me information that would, prove that you are a spy. So he tells her intel about a woman who is a mole at the CIA and is stealing important data for Russian sources. So, she's kind of not hacking it, I wouldn't say, because she has access to the information, right? But, she's taking this data and sending it to the Russian, sources, I guess, tech guys or the government, I guess. And he would know this because he is a Russian spy. So this kind of proves it, of course, but he could just be telling the story, right? So that's kind of what Noah and Hannah and Patricia get down to this episode, is proving if that is real, if that, this woman that he talks about is actually, a mole in the CIA. So that's kind of their job there, and then Dalton and the team, their kind of job is to kind of protect this guy until either they find out or, or that he actually needs protection, as we see in, towards the end of the episode. So this part was great. I thought this was, some of the best parts of the episode here. Noah fakes as sort of like a coding genius or a boss of coding or whatever at the DIA. And he invites the girl, Megan, along with two other guys, to make it less suspicious. But he basically invites them in to find out if she is indeed the mole. So, he has them coding information and stuff like that, that if she was the mole, she would be taking and, sending to her sources and all that, right? So it's a big test, right? It's a big test by Noah and the DIA, see if this girl really is the mole. So it kind of turns tables here because the two start, flirting with each other a little bit. So this creates some very funny exchanges. This is great. I mean, the actor who played Megan did a great job this episode, even though she had little screen time. But I thought she did great. I thought she was great. And Noah, Tate Ellington is the actor playing Noah. He's hilarious. When you get a script like this and you're an actor and okay, you get words on a paper, but it's the actor who brings that to life and, even sometimes makes something funny that wasn't even supposed to be. And I feel like that's what Tate Ellington is doing, and he's hilarious. In his delivery, his exchanges with this girl especially, when I guess I'll mention it later, but when he asks her to go out for lunch and whatever, and then, he asks her about, being a superhero and stuff like that. So, some very funny exchanges. Some great moments there from this. During the coding then, Hannah goes over to Megan's apartment to look for information. So this coding also acted, as a distraction so that Hannah could go over there. So she goes over to the apartment. She's not really finding anything, right? She's kind of just looking around, scanning the walls and everything. But she does notice that she has a lot of playing cards, so that kind of stuck out a little bit. And then we find out Noah, has to buy some time for Hannah as this Megan girl is, on her way back, and Hannah's still there looking in her apartment. So he goes out for lunch with Megan, and this is what I'm talking about, the funny exchange in the elevator there. That was great. I thought it was really funny. I like that sort of like awkward humor. I just think that's hilarious. So I thought that was great there. And then right when they actually get to the place that they're going for lunch, gets out of the car, Hannah calls him and tells him that she found secret writing in this notepad with certain letters and numbers. And we see her kind of uncover it with a I guess it was like black ink, right? And so obviously this kind of sets off Noah a little bit, and he right away knows that she's up to something here. So so he kind of suspects that she is in fact the mole at this point. He tells her to clean out her purse, which I think he did a little bit too soon. I think he should have maybe stuck with it a little bit longer as stuff happens. But he asked her to clean out her purse. She's I just got a phone and all this, acting all innocent and stuff. And then she pulls out a gun, and things just escalate from there. So she pulls out a gun on him and then tells him that he has to drive. This is a very intense scene in the car. It was only about a minute long, I think, but it was pretty intense. Basically, I mean, Noah, says, well, what do I tell you? I mean, you're not gonna shoot me. I'm driving, and then she, stabs him in the leg with that pin. So, yeah, I mean, pretty intense there for sure. And then actually Noah is able to, he actually ends up crashing the car into I think it was the back of a garbage truck or something. So he crashes the car, which she wasn't expecting, obviously. Sorry. And then when she kind of comes to, the roles are reversed, right? He's holding the gun to her and demanding information out of her. So I thought that was great. I thought the way they shot that was also well done. As well, I thought I thought that was great camera work there for sure. And yeah, he kind of holds her at gunpoint, obviously, and then brings her in. So at that point, they know she's the mole, and this proves that this Ivan guy is legit. He is, he actually is a Russian spy. So then we see Dalton and the team basically have to protect Ivan then from a couple of Venezuelan hitmen at the university that he, he's a professor at the university, I guess, but it's kind of an undercover, right? Because he's a spy. So at this university, these two men show up trying to kill him. And they, are basically have to protect him because they're not sure, what's going to happen if he's defecting or not yet. So this created some great action scenes. Mike takes out the guy that's just about to go towards Ivan and pull out his gun. Mike just comes out of nowhere and tackles this guy down. Great hand-to-hand combat. We have almost never seen any of that. Actually, I think this is some of the first that we've seen in the show so far. The hand-to-hand, just fists instead of these machine guns. And scope gun, like shooting from a mile away. So I thought that was great. And of course we see Dalton's he's not just skilled in shooting guns, right? He's a real he's a fighter. So he actually ends up snapping his neck and killing the guy in that storage room. So as he kills him, then they just focus on getting Ivan out of there. So the other Venezuelan hitman guy, he actually gets away. So he kind of just is still there looking for him, I guess, when they leave. And yeah, so then later, we find out that Ivan sold technology to Venezuela. Behind Russians' back for like I don't exactly know. I guess for money. I think he was saying for his daughter, right? Because he has cancer. So he has cancer and he's I guess dying somewhat soon. So he wanted to get money for her. So he sold technology from the Russians to Venezuela. And yeah, so I guess the hitmen kind of find out that he was with Russia then, and now they want to kill him. So basically, he's wanted by both governments. In the end, so he's a dangerous guy to be around for sure. And a hard guy to protect, as well. So, for Dalton and the team's sake, it's a dangerous mission ahead, but, of course, they don't really, they don't really fear it, of course. They kind of, they love that adrenaline, I guess, that kind of keeps them going. So, they keep going along with the mission. So, yeah, Patricia doesn't think that, she is enough to defect. So then, she kind of tells the team to watch the meeting with Ivan and his handler, just to, kind of be there as a spectator, I think they said, to spectate, just to make sure, things don't go wrong or anything like that. But they can't, they're not really supposed to do anything. They're not supposed to take action. And of course, that's hard to do for the team, especially when then the other Venezuelan hitman guy comes back to the picture, and he's trying to spoil this meeting with the handler here. And Jazz hits a great shot. So she's camped in a van here with Preach and McGuire, and she just hits a great shot. Dalton is about to be attacked by this guy, who's wielding a knife. And Jazz shoots him right as this guy, is about to, basically stab Dalton. And then Dalton, catches him and sits him down on the bench. And he pretends to be sitting with him, on the bed, puts his arm around him. So kind of a funny moment there. I mean, the way that all worked out. Obviously, they planned that. But, yeah, I mean, that was just kind of funny. And really, great shot from Jazz. I mean, the timing of that was perfect and the aim as well. So then, they kind of take out him, but then the next, big deal is that Ivan's handler comes and tries killing him as well. So, we see that play out where both governments have a stake in him and are trying to kill him. So then, he has his, a gun to his back, really, Ivan's back. And Dalton, is kind of walking along there, making, sure, timing the shot, and then tells Jazz again, okay, go ahead, shoot him. And Jazz shoots him again from the truck. Shoots, another guy now. And perfect shot once again, right on time. And again, Dalton kind of catches him, right, and lets him fall lightly, of course, because there's tons of civilians around this park, of course, right? They don't want to do it in front of all the civilians and create a commotion. And then you see Amir hiding the body under the bush there when they're walking away. There's just kind of another, funny thing there. So they're trying to hide this stuff, right, because they don't want to be seen. And that's a big part of the job, every week that we see. They can't be seen. They can't, let people know that they're there. So they get Ivan to safety once again, and that's kind of a theme. I mean, I think this is the third time that they got him to safety, and, it kind of saved his life. And so, yeah, they're able to get him to safety again. Patricia tells them, though, that she can't get permission for him to be defected at this point. Even with the proof that the CIA mole exists, he's just not big enough for them to defect, and I think that had something to do with his cancer as well. So the team basically gets a plan B. They work out something else, which we actually don't find out until the very end, of course. But yeah, so this was a really good action episode in terms of this stuff mainly. I mean, the whole park thing with the handler, Jazz shooting, the Venezuelan and this guy, was great. And she was pretty far away too, parked in this van. So a great shot, and we've seen that again and again, that she's, has a really good shot. And that's one of the main reasons she's on this team. So, yeah, I plan to see a lot more of that as well in the future for sure, and I think that's going to be a common theme throughout the series. So then, the last scene of the episode, pretty much, or the last sequence. So yeah, the team then says goodbye to Ivan and his daughter Denali. They say, we can't do anything. I wish we could. We'll have to, let you, be here. I hope you stay safe. Hope you're fine. And then they speed off, right? So the daughter and Ivan kind of, act like, it's kind of over, of course, and the daughter doesn't know at this point their plan, right? But Ivan does, of course. So then, seconds later, after Dalton and his team leave, then a van pulls up with a bunch of masked guys, I think black masks on, and they basically shoot Ivan several times in the chest area, and obviously, I mean, this means death, right? He's dead, right? That's what we think. And yeah, we think it's a hit on his life with some other people, coming right after they left. But then we figure out it was Dalton and his team that shot Ivan, and that he was wearing a vest, so he did survive this attack, and it was all planned out. That was part of their plan. So basically, they fake his death in order for him to come to the United States and escape from both Russia and Venezuela, of course, right? Because both are after him. So yeah, obviously, that's the only way they could do it. They couldn't actually defect him naturally. They actually had to fake his death. So basically, he's a dead man now. He doesn't exist. And Spain also, they're kind of teaming up with them so that they can, make fake papers, fake his death a little bit more, make it more realistic. So, nobody asks too many questions. So yeah, great plan, worked out in the end. A good twist as well, that I didn't see coming personally. And I don't think most viewers would either. I knew that he wouldn't die, but somehow I knew that something was going to happen. I just wasn't sure how, of course. And then we see McGuire saying goodbye to the daughter for real this time, right? Scene before we saw him say goodbye, but obviously he knew, but the daughter didn't at that point. But yeah, says goodbye for real this time. He kisses her once again, and just shows the romance and the actual relationship they built over just a couple days, I think. So, or I guess yeah, two days really. So yeah, really great there for him saying, goodbye. I don't think, that is the last of her. It might be, though. I may just, be predicting wrong, and some of my predictions have been totally wrong. Some have been pretty right, though, with this show, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll see her again, but I think it was a great love interest for McGuire this episode. If not, and I think it's going to be a good one if she does stick around, or just come up later in the show. Tries to maybe find him, contact him maybe later. Who knows, right? But yeah, great ending to this one. Good twist, and yeah, for sure. So that just about does it for the recap. Now I got some thoughts, my overall rating, and favorite character. So, in terms of a rating for this episode, I'm going to give it a 4.8 out of 5. It was that good for me. Honestly, yeah, favorite episode of the series so far, right? Or I guess of the season, I guess is the proper term. But yeah, honestly, I really love this episode. Way better than last week's for sure. The pilot in this would be close, I would say. Yeah, they would probably be the closest, but this one I would say is way better than the pilot even. I don't know, but yeah, if you had to compare two, those would be the two that are closest for me. I thought the romance was great in this one. We even saw, some Dalton and Jazz action here a little bit with some scenes with them, maybe getting a little involved. And then, of course, with McGuire and the Ivan's daughter. I mean, that was great. Just great to see there. Great comedy in this episode as well. The show has been doing great with, adding this comedy and integrating it into, realistic terms. They're not kind of forcing it. It's just, coming up. And it's really, I honestly find myself laughing out loud, multiple times throughout these episodes. And mainly Noah in this episode. I think he was sort of the main source of comedic relief. And like I said, earlier, Tate Ellington doing a great job in the delivery of his lines and just, being able to, kind of play that awkward kind of straight guy. And he's just really, really good at it. And that kind of, comes out as funny, right? And that's sort of the, the intention. So yeah, I thought there was great comedy in this one. There was other scenes too, but I think Noah's scenes were the funniest. Very unique mission again this week. I mean, yeah, I definitely different than last week's for sure, right? With the whole mall and all that incident in Nigeria. So yeah, very unique mission. Getting this guy, to defect from Russia as a spy. That's almost as original as it gets for, a military, type show like that. And especially in Spain, too. The locations and stuff is really unique. So, yeah, I really like that it was unique. They changed things up a little bit this episode, for sure. And it seemed like a lot happened in 42 minutes. The episode is 42 minutes, an hour on TV, of course, live with commercials. But if you actually trim it down, it's only 42 minutes of actual, footage. So it seemed like a lot happened in this episode, and a lot more than other episodes. I felt like it was pretty fast-paced throughout. There wasn't really any, throwaway scenes where you're like, well, they're kind of just slowing down here and talking. No, I felt like it focused on the mission the whole episode. We didn't really have any of those scenes, and they integrated that stuff throughout the scenes because it pertained to the mission. So I thought that was good, too. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly how to describe how they did it, but it just seemed like there was so much packed in this 42 minutes. It made it so entertaining and so easy to watch, right? Honestly, this episode went by so fast. I checked the time on it, and there was only 10 minutes left. Seemed like I started 5 minutes ago. So yeah, that's really great with the show. Great twist at the end. I knew that Ivan, of course, was gonna live. He had to make it through it because what would be the whole point in showing us this mission that they failed. And of course, I think it would be important to show failing missions as well. But I don't think you kill the guy and showing that. But yeah, I mean, I didn't know how he was gonna live through that situation. But it was a good twist nonetheless that they ended up doing what they did. Thought that was good, and it definitely wasn't like totally obvious, and that's good. Gotta create some suspense and some mystery in these type of shows. And I like that they stumbled upon the mission. I mentioned this earlier, and I said I'd talk about it again, and this is again. So really enjoyed this. Before, we've kind of had someone, kind of call in or something sparks it. But this one, they're just in Spain, kind of, I guess it was a vacation sort of thing, or I guess they're just kind of hanging out in Spain. And McGuire, stumbles upon this girl, and she ends up asking him, if he can, take care of her dad for her. And yeah, I mean, that is totally just a random, bump in event thing, right, that happens, and that kind of sparks the whole thing. So I really like that as well, that kind of aspect to it, which we haven't seen so far the whole season, right? This is the first of that. And the negative would be the actor who played Ivan. I don't know. I just think he was a pretty bad actor. The one part where he says, I forget what it was, but it was kind of a cliche line anyways. So, I mean, even, a really good actor probably couldn't make it that good. But I think he said, like, oh, I know you're worried or something like that to his daughter, and it was like just totally unbelievable. Like it was, I don't know, and just from that point on, I was kind of viewing him as a little bit, not as good as some of the other actors, and that's another thing, right? I mean, these kind of mediocre actors kind of stand out with a cast like this that are really great. In specific, Mike Vogel. I mean, he's just an amazing guy and an amazing actor, and these guys kind of stand out when you're beside Mike Vogel. But anyways, in an accent, I mean, the accent was good. I don't think that was faked or anything. I think that's how he spoke. And he was a little hard to understand sometimes. But I guess that was purposeful too, right? So I don't know. That's just kind of how I felt there. And then of course, two kind of similar love stories here is Jazz and Dalton, and McGuire and the daughter. Like I said, are we gonna see this daughter again? I would love if maybe 2 or 3 episodes down the road, she, tries to contact him again and maybe wants to start a relationship with him. I would love that. I know that this show isn't about that. It's mainly action, missions, getting down to the bottom of it. And I love that part of the show. But I feel like I would be okay with this McGuire, sort of storyline. Not a storyline even. Like, we don't even need to see scenes, really. But just maybe to end an episode off with McGuire, getting back with this girl and me going out or something like that. I don't know. That'd be cool. Or maybe him mentioning it to the guys next episode. I don't know. But I feel like that would be cool. And Jazz and Dalton, we're kind of seeing, as each episode goes along, they kind of have more moments together. They kind of, work together a little bit better. And I feel like that relationship is building. And maybe even by the end of the season, they may even, hook up. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm seeing going at this point. But we'll have to see, of course. But this episode definitely progressed that a little bit further. Maybe even a little bit faster than what I was expecting. They had some pretty, I think, 2 good, scenes to themselves, really, where they kind of bonded. So, and kind of flirted with each other. So, yeah, definitely interesting there. We kind of have to keep an eye on that, of course. And I know I won't doubt. I think that Jazz is going to have some sort of, love interest or relationship with one of them. And I think, if anything, it's going to be Dalton, right? Favorite character for this episode? It's going to be Joseph McGuire, and he's played by Noah Mills. I actually just recently followed Noah Mills on Twitter, and he is a great, I just really like his feed, and, he's posted some really cool behind-the-scenes stuff of the show as well. Not all the actors are doing that, and I really appreciate that. So if you want to go follow him on Twitter, just search up Noah Mills. I think he comes up, but I actually follow the whole cast on Twitter. I think except the actor who plays Amir, because I haven't been able to find him. But anyways, yeah, so I follow them all, and I really like seeing behind the scenes stuff. But anyways, that's beside the point. Joseph McGuire, McG had a great episode this week. I mean, I feel like he was kind of focused on a little bit. This whole relationship with the girl is what kind of sparks the whole thing. And I felt like he was there for her, at the end there too, saying goodbye, very romantic there. And being able to, to help her out with her father, of course, in the end. So, I felt like he was a good highlight here. He was funny, too, in this episode. Some great comedy from him. Very heroic as well. I think he displayed, some great qualities throughout this one. And I just love his character as well. I love all the characters, to be honest. Part of the main 5 of this team. Well, main 8, I guess. Back to the DIA as well. So doing a great job. And Noah Mills is doing a great job. I mean, he's doing great acting in this show. So but that would be my suggestion. If you're really liking the show as much as I am, go follow the cast on Twitter. I also follow the creator of the show as well, and he posts some really cool behind the scenes stuff and just really cool information about the show and the actors. He recently did like a live podcast too, and you could ask questions and stuff, and I think my question actually ended up on there. That's pretty cool. I like connecting with that, a little behind the scene aspect. Yeah, we watch it every week, but I like building that relationship with some of these actors and getting them to see sort of some of my stuff as well. So yeah, really cool. And some of the cast members have liked my stuff, liked my tweets, and retweeted me as well. So that's just really cool. Anyways, but thanks so much for watching this video. Thanks for the recent support of my videos. We're almost at 8,000 views on the channel, and that's in like the course of a month maybe. That I've the channel's really been growing. So I really appreciate it, guys. And I'm really liking this show. Favorite episode so far this season. Let's see if they can follow it up with a good one next week. But we'll have to see. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you next week for The Brave, Season 1, Episode 7.